Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Savita from Maharaja Agrasen University, Baddi, Himachal Pradesh. Today we are going to talk on module Theory of Cost 2 from paper Managerial Economics. After completing this module, you will be able to understand the various types of long run cost, concept of long run total cost, the concept of long run average cost, concept of long run marginal cost, relationship between LMC and LAC, and modern theory of cost. In the context of production theory, long run is defined as the period in which all the inputs becomes variable. The variability of inputs is based on the assumption that in long run, supply of all the inputs including capital equipment and factory building becomes elastic. So, the long run is a period in which there is sufficient time to alter the scale of production or equipment or the organization with a view to produce different quantities of output. The firm are therefore in a position to expand the scale of their production by hiring a more quantity of all the inputs. In the long period, all factors of production are variable. There is no distinction between fixed and variable cost. All the costs are variable cost. All factors, that is building, machinery, and even employees and organization are changeable. In the long run, the firm has enough time to bring about change in fixed factor of production. So, in long run, we have three types of cost, that is long run total cost, long run average cost, and long run marginal cost. Long run total cost. Long run total cost is always equal or less than the short run total cost, but it is not more than the short run total cost. Long run total cost curve represents the least cost of different quantities of output. The shape of long run total cost curve is S-shaped, which is very similar to a short run total cost curve. When there is small scale of output, the slope begins to flatten. Then for large scale, the slope makes a turnaround and becomes steeper. The flattening portion of this long run total cost curve is due to economies of scale or increasing returns to scale. The steepening portion is then due to diseconomies of scale and decreasing return to scale. Long run average cost is the long run total cost divided by the level of output. Long run average cost curve shows the least possible average cost for producing different level of output. So, average cost is the minimum cost which a producer faces by producing different quantities of output in a long run. In order to understand, consider the three short-term average cost curves. These short-run average cost curves are also called plant curves. Suppose a firm has three plants with different sizes. Plant 1 with small, plant 2 with minimum, and plant 3 with large scale. The cost curve of small plant is presented by SAC1 and medium size by SAC2 and large size with SAC3. This is shown in the following figure. So, in the short run, the firm will increase or decrease its output by varying the amount of variable inputs. But in long run, the firm can choose among the three possible sizes of plant as depicted by short run average cost curves, that is SAC1, SAC2 and SAC3. In the long run, the firm will examine with which size of plant or on which short run SAC2 curve it should operate to produce a given level of output at the minimum possible cost. Let us take another assumption now. There are large number of plants with different sizes, then the curve which will reflect the minimum cost of production of each plant will be the long run average cost curve of the firm. Each point lying on this curve shows the least cost for producing the corresponding level of output. The long run average cost is the locus of point denoting the least cost or minimum cost of producing the corresponding output. This LAC helps a producer to decide what plant to set up in order to produce at a minimum cost at the expected level of output of a commodity. This is also known as planning curve, as it serves as a guide to the producer in his plan to expand production. With its help, a firm can plan as to which plant it should use to produce different quantities of output so that production is obtained at minimum cost. So, the long run average cost curve reveals to the firm that how large should be the plant for producing a certain output at the least possible cost. It is also known as envelope curve because it is the sum of all short run average cost curve in it, or it envelops the short run average cost curves. It shows that average cost in the long run cannot exceed the short run average cost. This is also shown in following figure. By considering this figure, we can draw a relationship between LAC and SAC. Like SAC, LAC is also U-shaped, but it is relatively flatter. It shows that in the long run, increase or decrease in costs relatively less. LAC cannot be more than SAC because LAC is tangent to SAC. SAC represents the cost of single plant, whereas LAC represents the cost of different plants. Change in total cost due to change in output by producing one more unit is marginal cost. The marginal cost is the addition made to total cost by producing one more unit of output. In other words, marginal cost may be defined as the change in total cost associated with a 1 unit change in output. It is also termed as cost of extra unit or incremental cost, as it measures the amount by which total cost increases when output is expanded by 1 unit. The relation of LMC with LAC will be the same as the relation of SMC with SAC. LMC curve also cuts LAC curve at its lowest point. LMC curve is flatter than SMC curve. It can be shown with the help of diagram. It is clear from this figure that the long run marginal cost curve LMC, like the long run average cost curve LAC, is U-shaped, but the long run LMC is flatter than the short run marginal cost curves. Relationship between LMC and LAC. Basically, the relation between the long run marginal cost and the short run average cost is almost the same, but the only difference in LAC and LMC is that long run marginal and average costs are more flatter than SAC and SMC. The reason behind is the variability of all factors of production. It should be remembered that the relationship between the long run marginal cost curve LMC and the long run average cost curve LAC is the same as that between the short run marginal cost curve and the short run average cost. It can be shown with the help of following figure also. Earlier, it was believed that both the short run and long run cost curve have a U shape. But in recent years, it has been observed that in real life, the cost curves are saucer-shaped or L-shaped. The theory which explains its new shape is called modern theory of cost curves. The modern theory of cost curve has been propounded by economists like Andrew, Stigler, Sargent Florence and Friedman. Modern theory is based on empirical evidence that the short run SAVC and SMC coincide with each other and horizontal state line over a wide range over output. So, the nature of short run and long run cost curves under modern theory are given below. The short run cost curves are derived from the total cost, which is the sum total of fixed cost and variable cost. So, like traditional theory, modern theory of cost curve also have the short run cost curves such as AFC, SAVC, SAC and SMC. AFC, average fixed cost, is the cost of indirect factors of the firm. In simple words, we can say that the cost of physical and personal organization of the firm. Costs such as the salaries of the staff involved directly in production but paid on a fixed term basis, depreciation of machinery and maintenance expenses of factory building, etc. SAVC. The average variable cost includes wages of labor employed, cost of raw materials, and day-to-day expenses of machinery. The SAVC curve in modern theory of cost is saucer-shaped, that is broadly U-shaped. It has a flat stretch over a range of output. This flat stretch represents the built-in reserve capacity of plant. The following portion of SAVC shows reduction in cost due to better utilization of fixed factors, improvement in the skill and efficiency of labor, and less wastage of raw material. On the other hand, rising portion of the SAVC curve shows the inefficiency of labor, frequent breakdown of machinery, and the wastage of raw material. According to the modern theory of cost, SAC is continuously falling up to a given level of output. This given level of output represents the reserve capacity of output, SMC. In initial stages, SMC in modern theory of cost falls and then becomes horizontal. The main difference is about the shapes of the curves. In simple words, we can say that in modern theory, these short-run cost curves have a saucer shape or ball shape instead of U-shaped. In modern theory, short-run cost curves have been investigated by economists on the basis of empirical studies behavior pattern. According to this theory, the firm chooses only that plant which can be run with the available variable direct factors and the one which has a great flexibility with some reserve capacity. The basic objective of installation such type of plant is to produce maximum output in order to meet any increase in demand for its product. The SAVC and SMC curves are shown below in the figure. It shows falling of both the curves up to a point A, and SMC curve lies below the SAVC curve. Falling SAVC shows the optimum utilization of fixed factors and increase of productivity of the variable factor that causes the reduction in cost. Plants can attain that level with better utilization of available resources, better skills, and less wastage in raw material. The saucer-shaped SAVC curve has a flat stretch over point Q1 to Q2 as far as output concerned. It shows application of constant returns to scale. Divisibility of fixed factors is the main reason behind the saucer shape of SAVC curve. After reaching to the point B, both curves have started rising, which shows increase in cost. This increased cost may be due to increase in wastage of raw material, frequent breakdowns, lack in labor productivity, and overtime payment to labor. When SAVC rises after the full utilization of the reserve capacity of the plant, SMC curve lies above it. SAC is obtained by adding the average fixed cost to the average variable cost. As shown in the following figure, AFC falls as the output is extended. The SAC falls up to the level of output at which the reserve capacity is fully exhausted, that is, up to the OQ level. Afterward, SAC rises with the increase in output. At point M, SAC intersects SMC. That this is because of steeply rising SAVC from point E, and on the other side AFC is falling at low rate. As the output increases, the firm's average cost of producing that output is likely to decline. At least to a point, this can happen for some reasons. They are: modern theory of cost explains that long-run cost curves has an L-shaped instead of U-shape. First, the LAC curve falls, then it remains flat or may slope down to its right-hand side. Some economist has given some reasons for the L shape of LAC. As we all know, in the long run, all the costs are variable cost. Whenever the firm thinks about the effect of expansion of output on an average cost, the production and the managerial cost are taken in consideration. With increase in the scale of production, its production cost falls in the beginning and gradually keeps on falling. That happens because of technical economies of large scale. Therefore, a firm producing on large scale can enjoy the economies by the use of superior techniques. Modern technology is highly specialized. The advanced technology makes it possible to conceive the whole process of production of a commodity in one composite unit of production. For example, the production of cloth in a textile mill may comprise of such plants as spinning, weaving, printing, packing, etc. The technical economies are of three types. Economies of dimension. When a firm increases its scale of production, the average cost of production falls, but its average return will be more. Economies of byproduct. When a firm increases its scale, then it is in a position to use its byproducts and waste material to produce another material. Economies of linked process. As the scale of production increases, firm carries all productive activities. These activities get economies. These linked activities save time and transportation costs of the firm. Labor economies. When a firm's scale of production expands, more and more workers of varying skill and qualification are employed. With the employment of large number of workers, it becomes increasingly possible to divide the labor according to their qualifications and skills and assign them the function to which they are best suited. The workers are skilled in their operation, which reduces cost, increases the productivity and saves the time. But after achieving all the economies, the firm reaches at MES, that is, to the minimum optimal scale. The managerial economies arise from specialization in managerial activities and mechanization of managerial functions. For a large firm, it becomes possible to divide its management into specialized departments under specialized personnel such as the production manager, the sales manager, the personnel manager, etc. This increases the efficiency of management at all levels of management because of decentralization of decision making. It increases production. Given the cost, large-scale firms have the opportunity to use advanced techniques of communication, telephones and telex machines, computers, and their own means of transport. All these lead to quick decision making, which thereby helps in saving the valuable time of the management and hence improves the managerial efficiency. In the marketing economies, we include the advertisement economies, the opening up of showrooms, the appointment of sole distributors, etc. Moreover, a large firm can conduct its own research to effect improvement in the quality of product and to reduce the cost of production. With the expansion of the firm, the total production increases, but the expenditure on advertising the product doesn't increase proportionately. Similarly, selling through the wholesale dealers reduces the cost of distribution of the firm's production. Another major reason for L-shaped cost curve is the technical progress. As a result of technological progress in the real world, the long-run average cost curve will shift downward over the period. It is assumed in the traditional theory that there is no technical progress, but empirical result confirms the existence of the technological progress in firms. It is shown with the help of following diagram. In this figure, it is shown that when technological progress takes place, the long-run average cost curve shows a falling trend. It is also shown in the diagram that if firm introduces new technology, then its cost will be lower. The learning process also contributes a lot in L-shaped cost curves. People always learn while doing something. The greater the amount of work done, the lower will be its cost. It is well-known fact that the experienced people will do the work in better way and thus it reduces the cost of production and increases the productivity. A firm learns to produce a commodity more efficiently as the aggregate amount of output produced by it increases over time. The best example of learning by doing is a new firm which produces their product for the first time. After producing the first unit, they may be able to reduce the time required for second unit. And if they are able to do so, it will reduce their cost of production. So, along with the technological progress, learning process also provides us with the reason that why long run average cost curve is L-shaped rather than U-shaped. To quote Stonier and Haig, even with a given technology, a firm can learn to produce at a lower unit cost the longer the period of time that has elapsed since a previous observation and the greater the aggregate amount of that product that has consequently been made. It may be therefore concluded that technological change is not the only reason why long-run average cost curves are L-shaped rather than having U-shaped. Students, let's summarize what we have learned in this module. Long run is defined as a period in which all the inputs becomes variable. The variability of inputs is based on the assumption that in long run, supply of all the inputs including the capital equipment and the factory building becomes elastic. So, the long run is a period in which there is sufficient time to alter the scale of production or equipment or the organization with a view to produce different quantities of output. The firms are therefore in a position to expand the scale of their production by hiring a more quantity of all the inputs. In long period, all factors of production are variable and there is no distinction between fixed and variable cost. All the costs are variable cost. In recent year, it is observed that in real life, the cost curve are of saucer shape or it is of L-shaped. The theory which explains its new shape is called modern theory of cost curves. The modern theory of cost curves has been propounded by economists like Andrew, Stigler, Sargent Florence and Friedman. The modern theory is based on the empirical evidence. The short-run SABC and SMC coincide with each other and a horizontal straight line over a wide range of output. The module also explains the modern theory of cost according to which as the output increases, the firm's average cost of producing that output is likely to decline, at least to a point. Modern theory of cost explains that long-run cost curves have an L shape instead of U shape. First of all, LAC falls, then remains flat and may slope downward to its right hand side. Some economist has given the reasons for the L shape of LAC which have also explained in this module.